So, hi guys. Another episode of Stories and Conversations, and this one is really exciting for me because my guest today is actually someone I went with, or rather, we studied together in high school. So, high school is like secondary school, yeah. So, is it O level or A level? O level, yes. So we actually went to school about, we don't want to mention how long it has been because it makes us feel old, and I think we've already talked about it. But we'll obviously talk about how our experience was in high school and how we've grown up to the level that we're in today. But this is such an exciting conversation for me because I mean, it's all about coming to the table. The conversation this October is about coming to the table. And for my guest today, I just want us to have that conversation, and I want to get her perspective on what it means to come to the table. I mean, we left high school, we went to campus, then we started our professional careers, and it has been quite a number of years. So I want to get her perspective on how it has been for her showing up to the table, coming to the table, what it means for her to come to the table. So please welcome my guest, Beatrice. Beatrice, hi.
Thank you so much, Rahel. You know, when you was introducing like how many years you were in, my goodness,
I
we are
know.
that young.
Yes, we are that young. Yeah.
Yeah, but thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to share my stories and to have this conversation about being at the table. I think it's one of the things that I am now learning. I mean, you reaching out to me is me coming to the table. So I'm looking forward to learn,
Yeah.
to share, and
Yeah.
also to be inspired by you.
Awesome. And probably you can tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Beatrice? I know in high school we used to call you Muikali, but I mean when you grow up, things change. So who is Beatrice? Or I mean, if you still use Muikali, you can still introduce her. Who is Beatrice in a nutshell?
Okay. Beatrice is somebody who's passionate, someone who's very caring, very driven, and somebody who's really passionate, especially now about leadership and self-development. I focus a lot on advertising space, which is something that I have done for the more than 12 years, spanning looking at building visibility for brands both
Mm-hmm.
local and international. That's something that I'm really passionate about, communication. And then leadership is something that I found myself either by proxy or by appointment being in different leadership positions. And Beatrice is somebody who loves to be laid back and someone who loves to share and definitely grow and motivate people. That is who Beatrice is in a nutshell.
Oh, nice, nice, nice. We
And
really grew
maybe
up.
Mike
Mm-hmm.
can add, yes, and to add also focusing a lot on emceeing and public speaking. Yeah, so I needed to add that as well.
Awesome. Oh my goodness. You wear so many hats, and we'll talk about that and how you show up for all those responsibilities. But I'm glad that you're here. We went to high school together, State House Girls. I mean, many years ago. We said we're not mentioning the number of years because we don't want to feel so old. So we went to high school together. And I mean, the 4 years that we were in high school, when we were just finishing high school, I remember we had all
Yes.
these people coming to talk to us and all that. But I mean, Beatrice, I can't remember being prepared for what life would have handed to us. Okay, let me talk about personally, to me, and showing up to the table. And showing up to the table for me is showing up to the responsibilities that I have, no matter how I feel. And it has not been easy. Where in Ithau, what is it called? It's called character development, personal
Character
development,
development.
all those things. I don't know how the experience has been for you after okay, I wouldn't say campus. Campus was pretty, maybe it was not so bad, but talk about your professional career and how you started out. How has it been for you coming to the table? And before you answer that, probably you can give us your own definition of what coming to the table means. And then you can talk about how it
Mm,
has been for you when you started out in your professional career.
yeah, I think for me, coming to the table means showing up, and not only
Mm-hmm.
showing up, but showing up prepared, showing up
Mm-hmm.
afraid, showing up when you don't know how it's going to pan out, and just I think just show up in whatever way and in whatever form that you bring yourself to the table. And I agree with you. I feel like high school was just it was a training, but I don't feel like it was training to the relevance in terms of what we the roles that we play, especially today. It is very fast-paced. It has several challenges, some of which are very personal at heart, and you still have to show up at the table. And then also knowing that perhaps you need somebody else to show you how to show up to the table. You have to learn from different people who have gone ahead of you. And so one of the things that I'm learning now is show up afraid, show up prepared, and just show up in whatever way. And I agree with you. High school, we were taught, I feel like there were lessons to pick, but perhaps they may not be lessons to where we want to grow and where we want to be in the next couple of years. But one thing I'm learning, as I said, just show up. Yeah, so that's what it means for me.
Yeah. So how has it been in your professional career? I mean, you've talked about being in the advertising communication space for the last 12 years. And definitely you start from somewhere, yeah? You start from whether it's entry level and you continue building yourself up. So how have you been showing up, especially when you feel like probably you're not good enough? And maybe I'm speaking for you. You know, we all experience that. Some of us experience that, feeling like you're not good enough, or feeling like, you know, this stuff that's ahead of me, I'm not really sure how I can do it or execute it, but I still show up. Have you had such experiences? And how has been your professional career been? How has your experience been?
I think for me, when I joined my professional career, I didn't know, I perhaps didn't even have a thought of in terms of showing up, because I think I had the impression that you come and you get the work done. But however, I remember many of the times that the roles that you do are not commensurate to your JD. It may mean you to step up to a different role that perhaps you are not prepared for, or it means for you to show up in a way perhaps you may feel like you're not worthy of that particular position. So for me, I know in the beginning of my career, I was really afraid. And one thing that I have come to learn, and that is personal to me, is show up and use your voice. So and I know we'll discuss this later. So for me, showing up is using your voice, saying yes when you need to say yes, and saying no when you need to say no, and just adding value in the spaces. So one of the things I'm challenging myself is to learn as much and add value, because showing up is also adding value to, if it's a project, if it's a task that I need to do, how am I adding value to that? Showing up is also doing, as I said earlier, doing it afraid. Many times I'm maybe in a meeting and I'm like, okay, what should I say? How did that sound? You know, maybe you give a point, or you give a recommendation, and like, how did that sound? Was that convincing to the people that you needed to convince? So for me, showing up is, I've come to learn is, for me personally, show up even when you feel like your voice is faint, even when you feel the tasks sometimes that I'm assigned to are bigger than what I think that I should do, very limited, and maybe shrink to the size of the role or the task. So it's just still showing up afraid, showing up with my voice, and showing up prepared. And I think that's one of the things, especially when you're not too sure in terms of, when I'm not too sure about what I need to do, is maybe asking people, asking my peers, asking my supervisors how I can be able to do it better. But every other time, learning how I can show up in the particular roles and particular responsibilities. I must say, it's not been an easy. And I remember when I started my career, I thought it would be, you thought it would be very easy. But it's like as you grow, the challenges increase, the roles perhaps increase, the responsibilities that you need to do increase, and therefore that means also showing up in a different form and a different way.
Yeah. Wow, I really love what you're sharing. And there's something that you've said that has really triggered me in a positive way, about using your voice. I'd like you to talk a little bit more about that, because I know this is something that, and I would dare say a lot of women actually face as a challenge. Men probably have it a little bit easier. I don't know why. Maybe because we're in a patriarchal society, and for the male child or for the boy child, it's much easier for them to navigate through certain challenges. But what do you think? Do you think that women actually face this challenge a little bit more than their male counterparts? What do you think?
Yes. Yes, I think I'll say yes, and I'd also say no. But I feel like a lot of it is built on the culture. When you're small, you're told keep quiet, don't say this, don't say that. So as you grow older, now you're supposed to say this, say that.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of unlearning. And for me, I think as I grow older, I am accepting that my voice, though it may be faint at sometimes, use it, though my voice that I may feel like I have imposter syndrome or I'm not perfect, still use my voice. And I know a lot of challenge, even when I share it with perhaps my peers and my friends and who are women. I know speaking up and using your voice is one of the ways to show up. It is a challenge, but every other time you have to remind yourself, for me to show up, I need to use my voice. I need to say yes. I need to say no to this opportunity. And how can I show up? I think for me, one of the things that I love is learning from other women and being inspired by other women who are ahead of me. How have they used their voice? Because I believe the voice is the best way to communicate. I mean, beyond other forms of expression. So yeah, I know the voice is something that I'm really passionate about, and I know I'd mentioned to you about emceeing and public speaking. So it's a way of me holding myself accountable. Am I using my voice? Yeah.
Wow, wow, I really love that. And I just want us to stay a little bit on this because, as I said, it's really triggered me in a positive way. Um, and this is my own personal experience. I've seen women, and even for me at some point, when I used my voice, sometimes I was labeled as aggressive or boisterous, or all these narratives that women get when they speak up, and when they speak up so passionately. Because for me, I mean, I can speak softly, but I can also speak passionately, especially when something is said that I do not agree with. So I will speak passionately, not to disrespect, but just to put my point across. Because sometimes I feel women need to speak a little bit more than they normally speak, because we are naturally, right? So we speak very soft. We are very soft spoken. But sometimes I feel like when we speak out loud, when we speak passionately, we are labeled as other things. I don't know if you've had this experience, and how do you think a woman can navigate through that just to have their voice heard? Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, I think for women and myself included is always use your voice. I always feel like even though your voice may be firm, somebody else may misconstrue it in a different way, because perception will always change. Somebody may look like, wow, you're confident. To somebody else, it may be like you're abrasive. To somebody else, you're very soft. So I always feel like make sure, especially depending on what you need to communicate, your voice is firm. And going back to even this discussion is showing up with that voice and not saying, you know what, I don't think whatever I'm bringing to the table is not worthy. So I think for me, one of the things that I'm really driving towards is to get women who are mentors, who they can be able to then tell you, you know what, how then do I use my voice constructively? And how do I then add value with my voice? Because I believe there's so much that the other generation who are looking at us want to learn from us, and that includes also using our voice in the spaces that add value, and also in the spaces that can cause a change. And if that my voice can cause even the smallest of change and the smallest of impact, then yes, I would say I have done it. Yeah. So for me, is especially for women, and I'm even saying that so I can also encourage myself, is never shun my voice and never say whatever I bring to the table is not worth of saying. So use it, and also, of course, have women who are ahead to challenge and motivate you, to inspire you to continue to use your voice.
Yeah, I really, really love that. And something else that you mentioned is showing up afraid. Coming to the table is showing up afraid. Even when you feel like you're not able to, do a particular task or do whatever you need to do, you still show up feeling that fear. Maybe talk to us about that, and talk to us maybe about something personal that you went through and how you navigated through that fear, how you took that fear and actually used it for your own benefit, and whatever came out was even positive. And yet fear can be, okay, fear is negative. So how did you do that? Talk to us about that.
Wow, good question. And I think it's every day where you find different challenges and different things that you need to step up to. It happened, I think, 2 or 3 years ago during the pandemic. One of my contacts reached out to me and told me, oh, wow, I will be doing a webinar because during COVID, because of these restrictions, webinars became very popular. So he reached out to me and told me, oh, actually, we need somebody to come and speak to us about how do you sustain businesses during the period of pandemic? And now I was like, are you talking to me or you're talking to somebody? Are you asking me or are you asking somebody else? And for me, I was very afraid because I asked him, oh, okay, that sounds like a good idea, but who else is in that panel? And the panel had 2 founders and one other person who was very experienced compared to me. And let me tell you, I felt I was filled with fear, like, what will I bring to that particular discussion? And my, this imposter syndrome thoughts and not being worthy of that particular task and assignment that I was given. So I remember days, 2 hours, sweating. I was just calling my friends and telling them, oh my goodness, this opportunity just came and I don't know how I'm going to do it. And so I remember on the day, I actually went talked to my supervisor, and she encouraged me and she told me, oh, I know. She gave me pointers, and that really motivated me and inspired me. Even just talking to people who are close to me, family members, they really inspired and motivated me. So I remember by the time the lights, the lights were on and my camera went on, I was like, overwhelmed because there were many people who had joined in that particular webinar. But by the end, I talked to people and some of them were telling me, oh my goodness, you are very confident and very articulate in the way you handle that particular webinar. So it was a shock for me because I think for me, when you are afraid and you do the things that are that bring you fear, it actually raises your confidence. And you see, and through that experience of me doing it afraid, and you reaching out to me and telling me, wow, can you be able to this particular platform? It has prepared me for other roles in the future that I know I'll be able to speak. Doing it afraid, doing it not knowing, maybe not having that belief that I'm worthy of it, but I always have to remind myself, do it afraid. And actually, that's one of the videos that I have done in one of my social media platforms. Yeah, and just telling people, do it afraid.
Yeah, I really love that. And I can resonate with that because I also have speaking opportunities. Sometimes I moderate panels, and sometimes the intimidation comes, especially when you feel like there's someone who has more experience than you. You don't know if what you're speaking actually makes sense. So I definitely relate to that. But we still show up. We still show up no matter what, and we do what we need to do. And I don't know if you have this thing about, overthinking and thinking, okay, did I do well? Did I, say what I needed to say? Did people actually get encouraged? Did people actually get the message? Do you get that?
Let me tell you something, Rahel. I think I didn't know as you grow older, the overthinking just increases. Because anytime that I'm perhaps in a meeting, I'm like, oh, maybe I should have said it this way.
Yeah.
Or I post something on social media, I'm like, delete, edit, delete, edit. I don't think it's perfect, delete, edit. So I kind of feel like overthinking is sometimes good because it's your watchdog towards what you're doing and reminds you, okay, you need to do it in a certain way. But too much of it sometimes makes you to a point where you do nothing.
Exactly.
You're like, no, let me just do nothing. And then you don't move from what you needed to do. Yeah. So overthinking that for sure. I mean, even before this just coming on the way, I was just thinking, oh my goodness, what should I say? What should I not say? So overthinking was already on a high. Yeah.
Yeah. And that shows you're human. I mean, we are all human beings. And just tagging onto that, showing up. I know we talked about the way we show up to the table, showing up afraid, showing up even when we don't feel like it. But then there are moments where we actually don't show up, and it's because of different things, maybe challenges with health, when life just hits you and you don't have the strength to show up. And sometimes you just want to retreat and rest. And sometimes even when your body speaks to you and maybe your physical health or your mental health is not really in the place that it needs to be, you have to get yourself to a place where you rest, recharge, and then come back again and show up, because you need to show up, fresh and looking good and feeling good, because, we have all these responsibilities that, require us to be in a certain state of mind, certain state of health, physical health, mental health, emotional health, all that. So I know I've had those experiences where I don't feel like doing anything. I don't feel like showing up. And I obviously have to communicate that to the people that I need to show up to, or the table that I need to go into. So have you had these experiences, and how have you navigated through them?
I love that question, because it reminds me that I'm only human. There are more points in my life I will not show up 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for me, it then shows me where are the areas where I can be able to grow, which are the areas I can be able to learn. I know sometimes, especially when it comes to anything to do with maybe you're not feeling well and you are meant to do a presentation, then you are not in your finest self. Then I have to tell myself, you know what, next time I'll do better. And next time, if I'm feeling better, I will even do a better presentation. Or, for example, you're supposed to show up somewhere and you turn up late and you're like, oh my goodness, I was here, supposed to be here, 30 minutes before. So I remind myself, how can I be able to fix it the next time? Because I don't want to lie that I show out 100%. There are instances where I was like, I should have done better. I should have voiced this. I should have maybe perhaps researched more. I should have prepared more. And I think for me, that's the gap that tells me there's still spaces and there's still things that I need to do to get to the point where I'm learning and I'm growing. Yeah, so I agree. Exactly. I'll never say I show up 100%, but in the spaces where I know I'm excelling, continue to excel. In the areas where I know I need to learn. One of the things I've learned is every day, and something that I need to do consistently is every day look back at the day and ask myself questions. Number one, what did I learn from the day? What am I grateful for the day? And number three, what did I learn that I need to change? Did I show up late for a meeting? Did I give the wrong communication? Then learn from that and do better the next time. Yeah.
I totally 100% agree with you. And sometimes when you feel like you've not done what you need to do, you've not showed up, you can beat yourself up, and you feel sorry for yourself. And I mean, we are human, as we said, we are human, but self-pity does not change the situation. You just have to learn and do better and look at the opportunities to grow. We don't do this often. Again, we don't do this as much, but we have to push ourselves to that level of, growth. What am I learning? What is the situation telling me? So thank you for sharing that it's really important. So as we come to a close, I mean, you've shared all this amazing and, this wisdom that you've shared with us, but I know, and this is actually how I reached out to you. You were sharing all these motivational videos on IG, and I was like, wow, I just love the content that you're sharing. So what led you to that? And as you share that, maybe you can tell us how people can reach out to you in case they've been encouraged by this conversation, how people can reach out to you, even for speaking opportunities. Yeah. So how can people reach out to you? So first, tell us how you started with this motivational content on IG. And then you can tell us how people can reach out to you in case they want to reach out to you as we conclude this amazing conversation. Yeah.
I think for the first bit of your question, I remember, I think before we were chatting earlier, I had mentioned to you that a lot of the times your purpose is found in your pain point. And for me, my pain point has been using my voice. And I've struggled with it for several years. Ever since I known as a child, as I was growing up, I didn't want to use my voice. And so, and the funny thing, that very voice is the one that I find myself when I'm talking in front of people, it gives me that confidence when I'm expressing myself. And people have come, I've done several events and people have come up to me and said, wow, you're very confident. Have you been, I mean, you should actually charge people for doing this. And I'm like, me, I was just actually doing it and I was just showing up. So for me, and through encouragement, especially my family, and most I'd love to mention my sister. She has been pushing me, and she's been telling me, you need to use your voice, and especially drive things that you're passionate about, which is being your next best self and self-development. I'm actually doing a course that is about personal leadership. And that has also encouraged me more to use my talent, which is speaking. And so me doing this particular course, me getting that encouragement from family and friends and pushing me, I then decided, afraid, to make my IG public. And that's when I started using now my voice in a more public space to share things that I'm passionate about, which is self-help, learning and development, and which you mentioned also motivation. So when I decided doing the videos, the first one I was like, oh my goodness, I did so many takes.
Yeah, I can relate to that. Yeah.
I did so many takes, and so once I did that particular video, I love that I have people who hold me accountable and tell me you need to continue pushing that particular content. So I'm glad that you came by that particular content and you engaged with it and you reached out to me. I'm so grateful, because I think for me this just ties in with what you were talking about, showing up. I had to show up so that I was able to get this particular opportunity to have this discussion with you. So how can people be able to engage with me on socials? My LinkedIn name is Beatrice Ithau. My Instagram, where I share a lot of content pertaining to motivation and also leadership, is B Mwikali. They can follow me, engage. And I love that you have asked these particular questions that will also hold me accountable to share more and not overthink. So I'll be glad to be in particular forums where I can be able to learn from other people, especially through this particular platform, and also to engage with them. So yeah, follow me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Beatrice. Oh my goodness, I really love this. Thank you so much. And I think you've noticed I say amazing a lot. I think someone actually told me on the group, I don't know if you're in the alumni group, someone told me I say amazing a lot, but that's my thing. I say amazing a lot and I love it, and I love the fact that you have shared that such amazing, amazing content. Thank you so, so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
And thank you too, actually. I think for me, it's thank you to you. And thank you to the team that have pushed me to get to this point where I have people who are watching and not only engaging with my content, but seeing places where I can be able to use my voice, which is my passion.
Yes. Go girls, go future, I don't know, go females, go all that, all the stuff that he said about women, and go girls, go get it. You have, I mean, whatever you're sharing is really good. And normally what I say, and I know I'm going beyond what, we've already said, we are done, but I mean, this is important. I normally say, share that content. You never know who it will encourage. You never know who will actually come across it. Even if it's just that one person, you can change someone's life because of just sharing something so small, yet you think it's small, and yet to that person it's really big. So go girl, continue sharing your content. I cannot wait to consume it. So you go girl. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome.